Welcome to Sports and Songs Podcast, episode 33. This is Dan. August 2nd, 2020. We'll start off here with a video of the breaking news with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, if you're not familiar with it, Joe Kelly, the relief pitcher for the Dodgers. If you remember this video from April, during quarantine, Dodgers pitchers warming up at home practicing, breaks a glass window. Now this week, Dodgers are playing Houston Astros, and check out what happens. Almost turns into a brawl because of the very same inaccuracy. Here is the video. And here is what happened this week.
Kelly, home 3-0. Oof. Just get away from him?
Yeah, I think that one slipped.
Now the question is, was it intentional or not? We know he's wild, but the Astros are also known as the Major League Baseball cheaters. Was this some sort of retribution, vengeance? Because look what happened next. Benches cleared, and there was no social distancing. So remember, the Astros beat the Dodgers in the 2017 World Series, only for it to be revealed last year in 2019 that Houston took part in a sign-stealing scheme that tainted their trophy. Now, check this out.
You do it every year,
The Dodgers were
but it never gets old. Pack it.
Joe Kelly for 8
And when we go back to
games.
the breaking news out of baseball, this hour, Dodgers pitcher Joe Kelly suspended 8 games for his actions in the bottom of the 6th during Tuesday night's game against the Astros. Kelly threw a pitch close to the head of Alex Bregman and later taunted Carlos Correa. That led to the benches clearing and not much social distancing to be seen anywhere. As we welcome in our MLB Insider Buster, only with us on SportsCenter. Buster, the Dodgers and Astros met last night. We saw what happened. 8 games suspension. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, Tony, within the Dodgers organization, there's absolute outrage and shock over this decision because an 8-game suspension in a 60-game season is the equivalent of a 21-game suspension. Within the Dodgers organization, there's a feeling of, look, he didn't hit Bregman. He actually, in their eyes, didn't even come close to hitting him, and they felt like Dusty Baker was screaming at Kelly in that inning from the Houston dugout. They were absolutely surprised by the length of the suspension, especially because Kelly is a reliever. Now, I think from Major League Baseball's perspective, Rob Manfred said during the wintertime in so many words that he was not going to allow open season to be on the Houston Astros. Back in 2017, when all the sign-stealing stuff happened, I think we can look back and criticize Rob Manfred for not drawing a line in the sand and trying to alter the behavior with one big penalty at that time against the Red Sox or the Yankees. Well, in this case, it seems that's what he's trying to do, alter the behavior and stop teams from throwing at the Houston Astros.
Kelly has elected to appeal. His suspension was set to begin tonight, but as we mentioned, he has elected to appeal. Now,
Interesting set of circumstances. They're appealing that. Now, let's get back to episode 33.
Here at Sports and Songs, we use Anchor.fm as our platform for our podcasts. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Number 1, it's free. Number 2, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your own phone or computer. Number 3, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Number 4, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And number 5, and finally, it's everything you need to make a great podcast, all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM.
Welcome. Well, let's welcome to the show here, Sports and Songs. This is episode number 33. I'm Dan, along with your host, Andy. Andy, how are you doing on this Saturday, August 1st?
Beautiful. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday it is. We are live on Facebook for today's episode. We're going to cover a bunch of sports and, of course, songs, music, birthdays, this day in music, and a whole assortment of other things. But let's get started with some sports here. Football, maybe?
Yeah, we've got a lot of sports going on. We're doing a lot of stuff today. College football stuff and basketball trying to get started here again. First of all, I heard last night, Gopher basketball point guard Marcus Carr has pulled out of the draft, so he'll be coming back for another year.
Okay.
So, good news for Gopher basketball. One more familiar face coming back. Gopher football and Bemidji State released their schedules the other day. Gophers had to make some changes to, again, conference play only. And, they didn't move any games around for dates. So they got that Iowa game the third week of the season on September 16th, or 18th, I'm sorry. And they do have a bye week, and they're still doing all their games in order. They didn't switch any dates around. But they're sticking just to their conference games. I don't see one listed as a homecoming game. I don't know how they're going to do that this year with no fans or limited fans. They didn't really plug one as a homecoming. But Gophers having just their regular games going all the way through. The first one is going to be Iowa September 18th. Then at Maryland, at Wisconsin, home against Michigan, at Illinois, at Michigan State. Home against Purdue and Northwestern, then they end the season on the road at Nebraska. So we'll see how that season goes. Bemidji State also released their schedule. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 games. Again, limited schedule, traveling just within the area. They got their regular games, they got their homecoming game listed, senior day still listed for them up at Bemidji State. But we'll see how their season goes too. They do travel to Sioux Falls, they do go to northern states, so they do have some traveling to do. Their road games also include Duluth, Minnesota Duluth, and Concordia St. Paul. They'll be home against Augustana, Minot State. Their homecoming game August 3rd. August 17th against Moorhead, Southwest Minnesota on Halloween, which will be senior day for them. So the Beavers are getting ready for football. And you can find all that stuff out on the school websites more in depth on their scheduling. One more thing about the CCAJ hockey, the NSIC, where the Beavers play. As we mentioned last week, the University of St. Thomas has joined the Big Boys, Division I for sports. And they will be playing the same conference with Bemidji State for hockey. At least from St. Thomas is Central Collegiate Hockey Association Board of Directors has voted unanimously to welcome St. Thomas University. The league's eighth program beginning the 21-22 season. So not this fall, but next fall, you'll see all in there. So that's pretty exciting to see them in there. St. Thomas, pretty good school, small school, but tough school for sports. Very rarely do you see, if at all, someone from Division III straight to Division I. Especially a school small, the St. Thomas making that jump. But it just shows how good their sports teams are. They can make the jump. There is some teams that play Division II for one sport, Division I for the other. They go back and forth. But St. Thomas is going in they're going at the deep end of the pool head first. Division I. More of the story says St. Thomas will join other Big Ten members like the University of Minnesota and the second Division I team out in the state of Minnesota, so that'll be kind of exciting. Now you say, well, wait, Andy, Minnesota Duluth plays Division I hockey. Hockey's kind of one of those sports. You got guys Division II to III for football, but they'll play WCHA or NCAA hockey. So that's kind of hockey's kind of the exception to a lot of stuff. They count it as a major sport, but not really on some things because there's so many different brackets for them. It's not a rip on hockey, it's not good, better, or different, just the levels are so different. as you know, like with Bemidji State, they played hockey against Alabama, for God's sake. I mean, so you had some interesting things there going on. But so welcome St. Thomas up to the Big Ten classes here not this season, but this following season, 21-22. We'll see how that goes. That should be exciting. Getting back to the Gophers in the Big Ten, there was an interesting story out of Iowa this week. It's a football program. Everybody knows the Iowa football program. If you've ever watched a game on TV from Iowa, they got the Children's Hospital there, and they all wave the kids at the hospital after the first quarter, and kids all wave back. Very great tradition, decent program. Until this week, I'd never heard a bad thing about Iowa, except that they're Iowa. You know, the standard big jokes when they always have Gophers and Iowa stuff. But it came out this week that the strength coach for the University of Iowa had some racial issues with black players. And Kurt Frentzen, the coach of Iowa, is the longest tenured coach in the Big Ten, so he's been there a while. Kind of like when you look back at Joe Paterno years ago with Penn State. All that stuff went on. They all went and blamed Papa Joe, going, but you're the head coach, you should know this. The head coach has the systems for a reason to delegate down. And the assistant comes back and says everything's good, and no one says anything different. How's the coach to know anything different? It's like your job. If department managers are telling the head manager everything's good, how does he know? If the employees are having issues with him going to the head boss, he don't know any different. This is the same thing here. I really believe the head coach here, just like I believe Papa Joe at Penn State. He probably didn't know this was going on because no one came and said anything to him. And if he didn't know and he hid it all this time, shame on him, but it's hard to believe that it went on this long, no one said anything. But then again, in the wake of all the stuff going on today, again, like we said, we're trying to get too political. All the stuff going on today, I think people find that that's it. The elephant's in the room, let's talk about it. They did. Coach put out a statement basically saying, in short, it's an important time for me, my tenure in our program. This review begins face-to-face with allegations of uneven treatment, where our culture is mentioned, unfortunately caused by many black players and feel that they are unable to show up as their athletic, or for their athletic selves. Now, he goes on, and Coach basically says he's talked to ex-players since then, and they've all agreed with what's been going on now. Going, yeah, Coach, this ain't right. And Coach Frentzen goes on, and this is where I got a lot of respect for him. He takes blame for it. He basically said, I'm the head coach, this is my fault. You gotta respect the coach is gonna do that. Even though he probably was blindsided by a lot of this too. He is taking, he says here, as a coach, it is my first and primary responsibility to teach. However, it is important to know that with the teacher must become the student. I thought that was a pretty cool quote from him on there, where he's basically saying he's learning about this too. They're teaching him now what's been going on. He said, he goes on to say, in my one-on-one discussions with dozens of former players, I've appreciated their candor and willingness to help improve the program. I am grateful for the confidence they have in me to lead this football program forward. So no one's asking for Coach's job yet. They're okay with what he's doing. He's taking it, issue it in the hand. And here's the part where I get bothered by it. I'm not bothered by the fact that strength coach got released or fired or whatever term you would use. He was given his $1 million buyout. You get fired from a job for doing something just your job, they make sure you maybe got your coffee cup on the way out the door. This guy got to clean out his desk, grab a few shirts and sweatpants for all I know, and an extra $1 million for a buyout. Would you love to have a job where you tell off the other employees and they go, oh sorry, here's your salary on the way out the door? That's basically what's happening here in sports. And if this sport, any sport here that's happening, and that's just, it's kind of bothersome. Fired is fired. I don't like buyouts and contracts for sports. We'll cover that another day. But college football is trying to get ready. A lot of sports are saying they're going to be pushing back the start of their fall sports. Like I said, the Gopher football, Bemidji State did put out their schedules. Tentatively changed. They haven't put any times down for these games yet. These are the dates. I haven't heard word on ticket sales or anything else. But we'll see. The way it's going right now in our state, we can't even go to BW's and watch the game. So we'll see how it's going. hopefully you get some seats there. I know Korean baseball is letting 25% capacity in, I believe it is. Social distanced and masked, and you're all allowed in there. Hard to do in a football game. I just can't picture a game up in Michigan, hold 100,000 people, everybody spread out. That's going to look really goofy. But let's see, hopefully get something going on. At least we can get bars to open up again where we can go watch the games there. We can wear our colors and have food that's really bad for us and drink lots of beer, just like we went at the game. Might be almost cheaper. But that's college sports in a nutshell. What I got, Dan.
We'll take a break and come back with some NASCAR, wrestling, and baseball. Awesome. Alrighty, we're back. You want to talk some wrestling, maybe? All-Star Wrestling? NASCAR?
Some stuff I put on the Facebook page this week. You probably saw Nick Aldis, NWA champion, put a video out kind of ripping on WWE. So the wrestlers have been lately about their laughing stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But Nick Aldis, the reason I bring it up, he said he'll never go to WWE, this and the other thing. Never say never. Or lots of guys say they never go back and go there and go on. But I believe Nick Aldis when he says he'll never go there. He's made his money, he's done his thing. I think he's got pride on his hands. He's got a good career. He banked his money. He's got the family started. I can see him when the time comes and say, see you bye. The reason I bring up Nick Aldis in the NWA, three guys, former NWA wrestlers, Ricky Starks and Bad King Eddie Kingston have shown up in TNA lately, AEW lately. And Ziggy Dice, who was the TV champion in NWA, has left the company, which they now list that title as vacated. NWA is Atlanta-based. Those of you at our age remember watching Superstation TBS, 605, watching wrestling down there with Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, and all those guys down there. Same NWA, just bought by William Patrick Corgan, or as you know, Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins owns him. He goes by William Patrick when he's talking about wrestling stuff. I think it's just so people think it's a rock and roll type of situation. Anyway, he worked really hard to buy that company, and he has said it is not for sale. It is his. They're working their way back to try to see what they can do. Their shows the last, you never saw their old shows the last couple of years. It's the old studio wrestling. Kind of like the way we used to watch AWA wrestling when we were kids growing up, where there's 50 people sitting there watching, and no entrance songs, no pyro, just you come up behind the curtain and you wrestle. Basically like an independent show. A lot of the guys liked it though. They enjoyed it. Every wrestler I've heard talk about it, they enjoyed that set. So he's saying it's not for sale. But now AEW from that. Is AEW helping fund this? Or do the guys just have open contracts? Or, hey, we're not wrestling here, can we go wrestle there to stay in shape? Maybe. I would love to see the two organizations work together. I don't want to say make NWA your minor league, if you will, for AEW, but make it your minor league. WWE has their NXT, which is their training center. But the sad part is with NXT, when you go to WWE, they change your character and everything else, and you're not the same person. If these two groups can work together, AEW and NWA, work together, let guys come back and forth, maybe on pay-per-views, you'd have certain matches, supercards type of deal once a year. That'd be kind of neat. As a wrestling fan, that would be neat. Guys who are coming up want to work their way up, great. Don't use it as a minor league, but let guys wrestle back and forth. That would be kind of exciting, I think, to see. That's my opinion. But like I said, Billy Corgan has said their NWA is not for sale. They had a YouTube show going for a while, they did different stuff. I haven't seen anything new in about 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks. So, don't know. Hopefully they're working on something. If you keep seeing our names pop up, hey, that name sounds familiar. I would hear it in NWA. That's what I got on wrestling. Dan, did you put any of the town ball games this week in the playoffs?
Yeah, let's see here. I went to two of the games here for town ball. Minnesota amateur baseball. Both were Crow River Valley games. Went to Brownton. Never been to that stadium before. Saw Brownton take on Mayer, game 2 of their best of 3 series, and that was a good one. Brownton won 3-1, which is going to force a game 3 on Sunday. Sunday 2 p.m. is game 3. So what they do for this first round format is have the top 10 teams, let's see, I think there's 13 teams. And so the first 2 teams receive a bye in the first round of the playoffs. Seeded number 1 is Waconia Lakers. Seed number 2 is Winstead. And after that, they play a best of 3 series, home, away, and then home for the top seeded team. Winner of the series advances to an 8-team tournament, which starts next week. That's going to be a double elimination. The first round is best of 3 series. And so what that does, it thins out, gets those extra 6 teams out of there. 6 advance along with the 2 teams that got the bye. So now you've got a nice even 8, which start the actual section playoffs. And game 1 and 2 are complete now for all this. And only 2 teams will be playing a game 3. The others were decided on series 2 games to 0. Sunday, game 3 will be number 9 seed Mayer at Brownton for their deciding game. Brownton is an 8 seed. Mayer is the 9 seed. So that's a good matchup. That's the game that I saw. That's a good evenly matched game. Elimination game now. Once again, loser goes home, winner advances. The second game is number 11 Glencoe is going to be at Green Isle. Green Isle's a 6th seed. Glencoe 11 seed. Loser of that game on Sunday, 2 o'clock, goes home, done for the season. Winner will advance. Last night I went to the Cologne Hollanders ball game. They took on St. Bonifacius, and that was a 12-0 final in 7 innings there, and they went on to sweep both those games. St. Bonnie now done. Those are the 2 games I went to. What I'm planning to do on Sunday's game, 2 o'clock, is to go to that Green Isle game and report on that and do a midweek show on maybe live, I'm not sure. We'll put that out there at the midweek. Then we'll have for the Crow River Valley League is the brackets set up, the dates, times, and locations of those following games that are going on. Once we get to the state, we'll be we'll be reporting on that as well. Now, one last update on the state, Andy. As you remember, New Ulm City Council voted 5-0 to not host any games in the city of New Ulm at all due to the COVID-19 situation pandemic. They said we're not going to host it at all. While the other site is Springfield. Springfield, Minnesota says, well, we don't care what New Ulm does. That's fine. We're still hosting our piece, so don't take it away from us. Because there was some talk to push everything back a year, and then New Ulm and Springfield would get it next year. Springfield says no, we're still going to do it, and the Minnesota State Baseball Association had to come up with another site, and Milroy, small town of Milroy, took that on. So the site for the state 2020 amateur baseball Class B and Class C will be held at a dual site, Springfield and Milroy. That'll be coming up end of August and wraps up on Labor Day weekend with the state tournament. But New Ulm is out, and I don't know if they're going to have them host again in the future. I know it's going to be in Chaska and Waconia next year, and so those 2 towns don't want to have anything impact their years, regardless of the COVID or not. So I don't know if they don't. Well, these teams, other teams that are going to sign up to host, them planned out 3 or 4 years in advance. So I'm not sure where that's going to take us. But that's the latest on town ball. I'll be following some more on the DRS League too, the River Valley League, and also the Class A. And the Class A tournaments get started quicker. They go to the state tournament quicker, and they end quicker. They're done at the end of August. Just Class B and C, and that's where the real thrust of the baseball fans are, in Class B and C for baseball. That's where the fun stuff goes on.
That's where the good stuff.
It is. It's certainly true. But that's all I've got for that.
All right, great. I got some other baseball stuff, as you heard. follow baseball this week, Miami Marlins. I suppose we'll go Florida Marlins every now and then. The Miami Marlins. Started season 2-1. And was like, oh boy, here we go. Marlins are going to mess everything up by having a winning record. Then they get, half dozen cases of COVID-19 between players and coaches and everything else. Because of that, the Phillies, who they did play, they shut down everything. The Marlins have to shut down everything for a while. And everybody's going, well, these makeup games. You don't know about makeup games, how they're going to work, but you plan on this. They were hoping everybody be following the rules and do what they do. Major League Baseball has said, we're going by winning percentage at the end of the year to see who makes the playoffs. So if you have 60 games in, you have 55 games in, you have 45 games in. We're going by winning percentage. One of these teams has only 45 games in, and they make it based on winning percentage over somebody else with 60 games. You're going to hear smoke for it. But yeah, that's the thing. The Major League Baseball has also said that if they do play double headers to make up these games, there will be 7 innings games for a double header. Now, a lot of the players haven't been complaining about that because they just want to play and be safe and get it done with. So if they went 7 innings, great for a double header, wonderful. That just kind of screws everything up for a manager. Since they've been managing, you got to think differently now. It's only a 7-inning game. Let's let starter go. For the rules, if he goes 4 innings, is that considered enough for the win instead of 5? Since it's only a 7-inning game, they got to make this up on the fly because these players, I'm sure, have bonuses and stuff they want to figure out too.
Now, Andy, my question is here, Andy, on these double headers for 7 innings. They didn't just pull that out of the sky. That's the current college baseball does that for their double headers. They play 2 7-inning games, correct?
Yeah.
That's where they got the idea.
They worked it around for this year, depending on how they started their season, and they didn't really say. When they started the whole 6-game schedule, they didn't have any double headers in there, so they were good. So right now, we'll punt and see what happens. If one game, we won't make it up. But now with the whole COVID-19 and teams missing multiple games, they went to it. Players Association didn't bargain all. They said, yeah, fine, 7 innings. Let's go. So I guess there was a beef. Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs this week had on Twitter complaining about a rain delay in Cincinnati. How he thought it was silly because the visitors clubhouse at all sporting events is a lot smaller than the home team's clubhouse. Kind of like the home team, you got your own little area. It's a little small palace. You're all set. In the visiting club, you're stuck in a closet somewhere. Jam together. That was Anthony Rizzo's issue. With all this health stuff going on, you got all of us stuck in this little small clubhouse during a rain delay. I can kind of see his point. Why are you making us all stay here? We can make up the game later. X, Y, Z. Part of my point on that is you don't need to sell tickets for these games because there's no fans. So if you start the game at 7 o'clock or at midnight, it's just the lights on the stadium that could be an issue for depending where your stadium is. But if you know you got rain coming that night, and you're not worried about selling tickets, and you're already there, why didn't you start the game like at noon or 2 in the afternoon to start playing? If you knew it was going to be raining at 7 o'clock. And try to get a 5-6 inning game and get it done with. Why don't they try to do that? I get it, they got the night games for TV and everything else, but you know what? If weather's coming, start the game earlier. You're not worried about fans or tickets coming in. Get it going, get it done. And I guess that's the way it is these guys want to play the season, they want to get it done. But they want to be safe and healthy too, which I understand. But, like I said, let's take advantage. How many of us have seen the weather said it's going to rain tonight and you end up throwing a barbecue outside because it doesn't rain? I get it. You can't bank on that. But if that's what information you got to go with it. If it says it's going to be raining at 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, then move that game up and start it. Or if anyone else has travel issues, just tell everybody to stay at your hotel or start the game later. And it's going to be a 5-inning game or a 7-inning game instead. We're starting at 9 o'clock. Great, let's get the games in. I'd rather hear the beef of teams missing or making the playoffs going, well, they only played a bunch of 8-inning games or 7-inning games, instead of the fact that they didn't play all the games. Take what you can get. I know last night, After 6 innings, all time now for every Mets game, I'm praying for rain if they're ahead. Their bullpen stinks. So I'm praying for rain every Mets game after 6 innings. But Buster Olney from ESPN had this on his Twitter. Major League Baseball continues to try to move forward with games, and is the expectation with lots of teams, or expectation of a lot of teams. You shouldn't worry about the integrity of the 60-game schedule. Some teams play 55 games, others play 59 or 60. Just go by winning percentage. That's the way they did it in the 81 strike shortened season. It happened in the middle of the year, so they had a split season, but it was based on winning percentage. And a lot of people are saying asterisks by your team this year. I look at it this way. Everybody's playing by the same rules. They get it. So I don't think there should be an asterisk by it at all. If someone who has 45 games and you got 60, you don't make it by winning percentage, win your games, man. You know, banking on everybody else losing to make it play. You make the playoffs based on how many you win, not based on how many that we have lost. So win your games. You have to play baseball, NASCAR stuff coming up. Sunday, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the Foxwoods Resort 301, 311 laps. It's 118.46 miles. The track is at 1.05 something miles. It's New Hampshire. I don't get it. It's either a mile or a mile and a quarter or 2 miles. I hate these odd number ones. 301, I get it. It's 311 laps. That's what they want NASCAR is going to remember. Let's go 301 miles. No, it's 301 laps, 318 miles. The Daytona 500 is 500 miles. So these races, 500 or 400, was on a 2-mile track. We don't want to watch a race that's called only the 200. Why would I watch something that small? It's 200 laps, 500 miles. This, it's kind of a different number. Makes it a little fun. 301. There's some races the Aaron's 499. There's something a little different, kind of a trickery in naming to teach your attention. NASCAR is still going on with their season course. They've had some fans. This race will not have any fans at it. It depends on your state-by-state laws and regulations. Again, not getting too on it, but it's a state-by-state thing, not a NASCAR thing. So if you watch this race, you go, there's no fans there. What's NASCAR doing now? Their hands are tied, they're going to know what the state says. Watch your points for NASCAR this week. I've kind of covered before the way they do their scoring. You win, you're in. If not, you give so many points based on it. A few guys are still kind of fighting for those last few spots, so it should be kind of interesting. You crash early, you're out, you go finish the race. That's why you see a lot of guys come in and go crash maybe early in the race, their cars are all mangled up. They go to the shop, and they come back out, and you see the guys, he's 40 laps behind. What's he doing? Building up points. So you get points based on how many laps you finish, how you finish in the race. You come back out there, you can milk it out, and you get 150 or 250 to 300 laps done. The guy who crashed on lap 20 never finishes. You got more laps in than him, you got more points than him. That's what matters. So the points matter. Some of them have to do sponsorship too. How much are they getting paid for being out there, seeing that little sponsor going around the track? Let's get that name out there. It's a good time for them all to practice too. Hey, what happens with our pit crew if we try these guys on the pit change? They might try stuff too. It's kind of a practice. But you'll see a lot of those guys when they're out there, they're playing it real safe. They're not getting in the way of traffic. They see the car come by, they move down, let them all pass. They're not trying to fight for position. They get it. Their car's wrecked, they're out there. For NASCAR this weekend, Foxwoods Resorts will be Sunday, 2 o'clock, Minnesota time here in Central Time Zone. We got NBCSN. That's coming up. And also, the NHL is starting up again. The Wild plays Sunday night at 9:30 Minnesota time. Again, NBCSN, Fox Sports North, Fox Sports Wisconsin, and NHL TV. They'll be playing the Vancouver Canucks. Hated Vancouver Canucks. Part of their 5-game set. There's 2 different cities in Canada that play for hub cities, so they kind of go back and forth in different arenas, so there's some travel time. Their games are Sunday, and they play again Tuesday the 4th, Thursday and Friday the 6th and 7th, and then Sunday the 9th. So the Wild's going to look out for that. So good luck to the Wild and NHL and their bubbles they got going on there, and their games are continuing. I've heard no issues from our friends on the ice going over it. It's COVID testing, they're all good so far. Baseball's had their issues. Hopefully they can get figured out. You'll be saying, oh, baseball's messed up. Baseball screwed it all up. No, Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins screwed it all up. I just heard now that Cardinals are going down here playing Twins. Now they got some people testing. I don't know how it's going to affect us. We haven't canceled any games yet, but the Brewers Cardinals game last night was postponed. I don't know how they're taking care of all of that. We shall see. We shall see. I haven't heard anything on that. That's all I got in sports. If you have anything else, Dan, for comments or questions?
Nope, that's all that I had. All right. Alrighty, now it's time in the segment to go to the This Day in Sports, This Day in History, This Day in Music, birthdays, and whatnot. What have you got, Andy? Are you there, Andy? Hello, are you there, Andy?
I am here, sir.
What have we got for this week in music history, sports history, and birthdays coming up next?
Well, yeah, a lot of big birthdays. A lot of days are pretty piled up here. We'll see what we got going on. We'll rattle through these here. I'll start with sports stuff. July 27th will be the first day through our calendar. 1953. Dizzy Dean, Al Simmons, Chief Bender, Bobby Wallace, Harry Wright, Ed Barrow, Billy Callum, and Todd Conley are inducted into Michigan a few weeks ago.
Okay.
In there. 1988. Baseball star Tommy John commits a record 3 errors on one play. The Yankees are running by the 16-3. We did have that up on our Facebook page. You can see the 3 errors there. It's not a pretty sight, but they're on there. 1992. Houston Astros began a 26-game road trip because the Republican National Convention was to be held in the Astrodome. The Houston Astros were on a 26-game road trip. Jeez. Yeah, so we'll see how that works out next time for everybody. And then 1996, there was the Atlanta Park bomb explosion. One was killed and 110 injured. We saw the movie on the guy. Last couple years ago, forget it. There's a bomb exploded in 1996 already, that was. The Atlanta Olympics. Birthdays, 1939, July 27th. Irv Cross of CBS Sports, was born in Hammond, Indiana. Irv Cross, there he is. I remember him as a kid watching NFL Today.
Oh, yes.
Brent Musburger and Phyllis George.
Oh, yes. And Jimmy the Greek.
George. Irv Cross was employed as an analyst comedy of CBS Sports in 71, when he became the first African American to work full-time as a sports analyst on national television in 1994. In addition to his work at CBS, NFL coverage, including co-anchoring NFL Today from 75 through 89, Irv Cross worked on NBA basketball, track and field, gymnastics, and various other things. Also, if you look it up, he do the sports updates on weekends in between shows. He'd go, hey, here's what scores from college basketball updates and that. He served as athletic director at Idaho State University from 96 to 98, and then he was the director of athletics at McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota for 6 years until June of 05. He's the CEO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters, Central Minnesota until 2010, returned to football commentary for the Twin Cities Fox Channel famous P9. In 2009, he received the Pete Rozelle Radio Television Award, given by the Pro Football Hall of Fame, recognized a long time contribution to football. I remember watching Earl Allison, like, why is Earl Cross doing stuff for the Vikings on Channel 9 on things, you know? Oh, he went to McAllister, that's why. Earl Cross still sticks up every now and then. You hear him once or twice a year. Vikings win 3 in a row, and then they have Earl Cross on. It's Packer Week or something like that. I'm sure you heard about it. More birthdays, 1958. Christopher Dean, English skater of Torval and Dean, the 84 Olympics. pairs. He had a birthday in 1958. 1980, Nicholas Theodore Nemeth, also known as Dolph Ziggler, WWE wrestler, born 1980. Paul Michael Levesque, also known as Triple H, born 1969. 1991 birthday, Adam Page, also known as Stephen Blake Walls, of AEW, that's a birthday. 1975 birthday, Alex Rodriguez, soon to be Mets owner, that's a birthday, 1975. July 28th, 1989, Dale Murphy hits 2 3-run home runs in one inning. 14th man to hit 2 home runs in an inning, also ties the record for 6 RBIs in one inning. Murph, there he is. Kind of like Kent Herbeck with the Twins in the 80s, early 80s, great player on a great team. 1991, Dennis Martinez, El Presidente, pitches the 13th perfect game in baseball history. 1994, Kenny Rogers, Texas Rangers pitcher, the gambler, Kenny Rogers, throws the only perfect game in franchise history against the California Angels. Birthdays for July 28th, UFC President Dana White, 1969. 1984, Zach Parisi of the Minnesota Wild was born in Minnesota. JP Parisi's kid. There he is, there's that. 1989, Nicholas Lee Masai, first one of Nick Jackson, AEW was born. The Young Bucks, tag team members. 1993, Sammy Guevara, also known as Sammy Guevara, the wrestler for AEW was born 1993. He's one of those who were watching wrestling the other day. I have the wife and the daughter watching wrestling with me. Sammy Guevara came on. Even my daughter looked at him and goes, "What's he, 12?" So, yeah, we're all getting old. So welcome to old age, honey. Alright, we move on. July 7th. Wasn't much. July 29th. Not much going on. 1986. New York jury rules the NFL violated the laws of the antitrust against the USFL. Okay, you remember that one. They awarded. There was dollar in damages. There was 3 counts, so it was a total payment of $3. And I go ahead and pay out. 1998, Rick Sutcliffe steals home plate. First pitcher since Pascal Perez in 84 to steal home base. There's started his career with Cleveland Indians. They overplayed the Cubs. Never did like Rick Sutcliffe as a player growing up. I didn't like him. He has as an announcer. I just think he's goofy. He's just goofy. Don't like him. He's not getting a Christmas card from me. Birthdays, July 29th. 1926, Don Carter, American Pro Bowler, 6-time Bowler of the Year, first athlete to earn $1 million in a single endorsement with M&M Bowling. He was born in St. Louis, Missouri. Don Carter, he was in bowling. M&Ites, when I started, I was going to do bowl half. Don Carter was born. Don Carter was everything bowling back in the day. So I remember the name of Don Carter, St. Louis, Missouri. Bowling Hall of Fame down there in St. Louis, Missouri. Cool. Sweet. 1993, Captain Lou Albano, pro wrestling fame. Some people I remember from the Cindy Lauper videos. Girls Just Want to Have Fun. She played her dad in that video. Captain Lou had the rubber band on his cheek. July 30th, 1973, Texas Rangers Jim Gibby hits the first place in Oakland A's, 6-0. July 31st, 1972. Chicago infielder Dick Allen becomes only the 7th player in Major League history to hit 2 inside the park home runs in the game. Both off Bert Blylover. This is White Sox one of the Twins. Blylover was known for giving up a ton of home runs with hanging curveball. He gave up 2 inside the parkers. So,
on the same day,
yeah.
No less.
Yeah. But the same guy, yeah. Right. Curveball for them too. 1993, Toronto Blue Jays obtained future Baseball Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson exchange for minor leaguers Steve Carsey and Jose Herrera. Ricky Henderson's director of here. Ricky always liked to talk third person. Ricky later played for in Toronto. He plays with John Olerud, who just played with the Yankees. John Olerud, if you don't know him, from Washington State, when he was young, he had to have brain surgery, so even in the field, he wore a batting helmet. In the field, at first base. He was joining the Yankees, and Ricky Henderson was up to John Elway and goes, you know what? I played in Toronto. I played with the guy who used to wear a batting helmet on his head too at first base. John Elway said, yeah, that was me. And the sad thing is Ricky went on to be a base coach from the Mets, coaching the Mets organization, and that's why the Mets had some issues there. 1997, Oakland A's first baseman Mark McGwire becomes the first Major League Baseball's top home run hitter to be traded in the middle of the season and moves from Oakland to the St. Louis Cardinals. That was in 97. A couple years later, the whole Android thing came out, the home run thing. Did the A's go something we didn't know? And they said, see you bye. Don't know. 2007, Boston Celtics obtained former MVP and 10-time All-Star Kevin Garnett. A 7-for-1 deal with Timberwolves. Then the NBA's biggest summer trade for one player. It was Big Kevin. Again, hopefully future owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay, interesting to see that happen. Birthdays, 1972. Chris Wenke, college football player, Heisman Trophy winner 2000 from Florida State. Went on to play Carolina Panthers afterwards. Was born in St. Paul. Interesting thing about Chris Wenke when he played. Before he went to college, he was also drafted to play baseball. So he played minor league baseball for like 4 years, 3 or 4 years. Then he went to college because he still had amateur eligibility left for football. Played 4 years at Florida State. Got the Heisman. His 1 year in Carolina, I forget the year. He was a starting quarterback. They went 1-15. His one win was week 1 here in Minnesota against the Vikings. He beat the hometown team. So that really out of high school, it's like kind of need that early win against your hometown team. August 1st, 1941. New York Yankees pitcher Lefty Gomez sets a major league record. The most walks in a shutout. He showed 11 walks and a 9-0 win against the St. Louis Browns. 1964, Big Daddy Don Garlits becomes the first drag racer to run a quarter mile and over 200 miles an hour, 201.34 in New Jersey. 2012, 8 female badminton players are disqualified from the 2012 Summer Olympics for attempting to manipulate the draw by throwing matches. Badminton. Throwing matches. Badminton. Again, 2012 at the Olympics, American Nathan Adrian clocks at 47.52 and winning 100-meter freestyle gold at the London Games. His first swim in under 48 seconds. Nathan Adrian, Seattle kid. My niece swam with him when she was in high school. Friends of ours also know him through swimming, know the name and that. But Nathan Adrian has also swam with Michael Phelps and some of the relay teams there. So, Michael Phelps, Nathan Adrian, and the other two guys. August 2nd, after a 3-hour deliberation, August 2nd, 1921. After a 3-hour deliberation, the Chicago jury appoints 8 Chicago White Sox accused of the Black Sox scandal. Next day, banned from organized baseball for life. We gotta do a special on that because I think those guys got a job. In my opinion. 1968, Ron Hansen and Tim Collin, Hansen of Washington College, Chicago White Sox, became the first Major League Baseball players to be traded for each other twice in the same season. Here in February to the opposite directions. So, twice in 1 year. 2 guys for each other in the same team. So it's kind of weird. Alright, now we go to the music part. Music, birthdays, and history. July 27th, 1984. Prince stars in the film Purple Rain, a movie in which he plays as an upstart musician who clashes with his band, parallels his life story, and is not a strict autobiography, because he didn't write or direct or anything, but it's kind of mirrored his career. Birthdays, 1962. Carl Mueller, bassist for Soul Asylum, born here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. 1987, the Ice-T album Ron Pays becomes the first hip-hop album to get a warning label for explicit lyrics. Radio Ice-T. 1997, after a show in Cleveland, Joe Perry quits Aerosmith and uses a screaming mattress Steven Tyler. He's replaced by Jim Crispo, who rejoins the band in 1984. So Joe Perry left, had his tangent for 3 years, came back. 1992, Prince trademarks the male-female symbol he had been using on various album covers and promotional material. He later redesigns the symbol and uses it as his name. There's the documents right to the trademark where he got trademarked the symbol. So he was doing the Prince congratulations. He redesigned it, used his name for a while. I had it on a few albums. He did change his name back to Prince at the end, but really when he was using that symbol, some of the albums he got up there were some kind of one time. Birthdays. 1954 guitarist Steve Morse was born in Hampton, Ohio. After forming the Dixie Dreads, he later joins a little group called Deep Purple in 1980. 1945, Rick Wright of Pink Floyd is born in Minnesota, England. July 29, 1978, the Grease soundtrack hits #1 in the U.S. thanks to some of the songs with You Don't Wanna Walk and some of it. We all know the songs, we all sang along to them, we're not proud of it. 2015, the Eagles play their last concert with Glenn Frey. The show takes place in Louisiana, the final date of their History of the Eagles tour. The set features 27 songs and 2 encores, closing with Desperado. Founding member Frey dies 6 months later. The band continues to sun down Deacon in his place. And I've heard that he's replayed him. There's some other guys that filled in for Glenn Frey since then. Filling in, I don't know if the Eagles really have an official replacement guy for him as they go on now. It's just people on my choice, but that was out. 1979, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers conclude their quote-unquote lawsuit tour with a show at the University Amphitheater in Los Angeles. Petty embarked on a tour to raise money for his legal battles with MCA Records. Now that's pretty cool. You can sue the record company. So you go on tour and call it the lawsuit tour to raise money for it. That's a fun. Birthdays, 1953, Rush frontman Geddy Lee was born in Geddy Lee Winery in Ontario, Canada. 1946, Neil Autry, he works for REO Speedwagon, was born in Indiana. July 30th, 1991, Enter Sandman is released as a single, serving as a preview of what's to come with Metallica's Black Album. With a cover to do of Queen's classic Stone Cold Crazy on the B-side, which reaches number 16 in the Hot 100.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So that was a Queen song, Stone Cold Crazy.
Yeah, that's a Queen cover, yes.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that. That's one of my favorite songs. Metallica is very good, but I did not know it was a cover. I always learn something new from your reports, Andy.
The Queen version is not that different.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that today and listen to that. That's interesting.
Yes. Homework for everybody.
Yes.
Version, this Metallica version, compare. Give us your comments later on what you thought. July 31st, 1969. Elvis Presley comes to Vegas, making his first live concert appearance since March 25th of 1961. He plays at the International Hotel in Vegas. The first of 57 shows that help him revive his career, where he earns $1.5 million back then. That was a boatload of money. Birthdays. 1971. Guitarist John Wayne Lowry born in Michigan, better known by his stage name John 5, who's on with contributing acts such as Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie, and Leonard Skinner. Next year I was born in Duluth, Minnesota. August 1st, 1981. MTV goes on the air beginning to play music videos to the masses. At least the one with Katie.
Hello, right there. Did you drop off, Andy? Are you there, Andy?
Yep.
You may have dropped off the last 10 seconds. I think you dropped off.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Do the last 10 seconds. Do the last 10 seconds again, just to see for the listeners.
About MTV going on the air?
Yes.
Okay, that was 1981. Video Killed the Radio Star was their first video they played.
Okay.
And then mid-90s they quit playing videos and started going to TV shows and stuff. 2015, Rush plays their last concert, closing out the R40 live tour of the show at the Forum in LA. It's not announced as their farewell concert. The band has hinted that it might be the end of the show. Drummer Neil Peart, who we talked about a couple weeks ago, uncharacteristically comes out to the front of the stage to take a bow with the band members. So, look up that old video, you see pictures of it, that's history right there. Birthdays, we got a list of them here. Quite the cast of characters from these movies for this day. 1963, artist Leon Ebby Jr., also known as Coolio, is born in California. He gets a stage name when a friend sees him playing guitar and says, "Who do you think you are? Julio Iglesias?" 1960, rapper Chuck D of Public Enemy is born. Carlton Douglas Rindauer in Queens, New York. 1959, Joe Elliott of Def Leppard is born in South Yorkshire, England. 1953, blues guitarist Robert Cray is born in Georgia. 1951, guitarist Tommy Bolin of Deep Purple and the James Gang is born in Sioux City, Iowa. 1951, Tim Bachman of Bachman Turner River Drive is born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
BTO.
BTO. 1947, bassist Rick Anderson of the Tubes is born in St. Paul, Minnesota. 1942, Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead, born in San Francisco, California. And 1779, Francis Scott Key, born in Maryland on that day. And what a great way to end out our week, August 2nd, 2014. Weird Al Yankovic's Mandatory Flight was #1, given the Parody Master his first chart-topping album. Just when you thought his music was kind of dying off, thought he peaked, he comes back with Mandatory Fun. It's #1. Congratulations to Weird Al.
Weird Al.
That's what I got for music. What have you been listening to in your Discman this week?
Well, we'll come back here for the album of the week, album review coming up next. Well, that is the song in the background is Godsmack, Keep Away. And the reason I picked that is the album this week is Godsmack, the self-titled album Godsmack. And so, let me get me up here, get Weird Al out of the way there.
Hi, Weird Al.
And so, what we've got here is Godsmack album, 1998, and good stuff. Good stuff. So let's start off with their album. Godsmack, on their album, this is their debut. Godsmack injects modern metal with a menacing swagger. Ill-tempered howler Sully Erna has nothing but malice for those who cross his path, while the band dish out seriously pugnacious performances. Numerous cuts, including Moon Baby, come encased in nu metal samples, ominously processed vocals, and saber-toothed funk. But as Bad Religion proves, Godsmack frequently shifts into grungy hard rock with minimal effects. The Boston Bruisers also flirt with Middle Eastern sounds on Voodoo, which boasts Erna's deep, sinister moan and a trance-inducing groove. And so, the Godsmack debut album by Godsmack. The album was initially paid for by the band and released as All Wound Up before the band signed Universal Records and Republic Records. It was mastered at Sterling Sound in New York City. It differs from All Wound Up by splitting the song Get Up, Get Out into 2 tracks, into the portion being retitled Someone in London, while the song Going Down was removed. Going Down later appeared on the band's second major album called Awake, along with another song left off the self-titled album called Bad Magic, which appears on the next album called Awake. This was released August 25th, 1998. It's called Nu Metal or Alternative Metal. It's very, very hard rock. It's very different, but they've got their own sound. The singles released were Whatever, Keep Away. That's a song that I played here on the During the Break was Keep Away. The song Voodoo was released next, and then Bad Religion. Now, the album caused some controversy due to its profane lyrics and liner notes contain a Wiccan pentagram and reference to Salem witches, minus a parental advisory warning label. After listening to his son's copy of the album, a father in the U.S. complained to the store Walmart, who sold him the album, that the lyrics were offensive. Walmart and Kmart took the album off the shelves. The band and its recording label later added a parental advisory sticker to the album, and some stores offered amended copies of the album. Sully Erna commented on the album on the situation to Rolling Stone magazine by saying, "Our album has been in the marketplace for more than a year now without a parental advisory sticker, and this is the one and only complaint. Stickers and lyrics are by nature subjective. We have decided to put a sticker on the record. The controversy did not hurt album sales, but according to Erna, helped, stating, it's almost taunting kids to go out and get the record to see what we're saying on it." And so once again, you throw the sticker on there, the parental advisory, and it actually sells better. This actually helped them. This debut album went 4 times platinum. 4 times platinum. Huge. Here's the track listings. Song 1 is Moon Baby. Song 2, Whatever. Song 3, Keep Away. Song 4, Time Bomb. 5, Bad Religion. 6, Immune. 7 is Somewhere in London. That's an instrumental by Tony Rombola, the guitarist. 2-minute instrumental. Song 8 is Get Up, Get Out. Song 9, Now or Never. Song 10, Stress. Song 11, Situation. And then song 12 is the song Voodoo. But it also includes the hidden track called Witch Hunt that begins at the 6-minute 40-second segment of that song. Here's the personnel. Sully Erna on vocals. I've seen these guys perform one time in concert. He's also a very good harmonica player, Sully Erna. Tony Rombola, the lead guitarist. Robbie Merrill played bass. And I'm going to bring up a section on Tony Rombola. Tony Rombola, the guitarist, is a self-taught guitarist. He first picked up a guitar at age 11. According to his father, the first song Tony learned was a song by Black Sabbath, and his introduction to rock music was the album Led Zeppelin III. He was playing in a cover band in Massachusetts that played a lot of covers from Alice in Chains and Rage Against the Machine. They figured he'd be the perfect fit for this band. Now, the interesting thing is here with Godsmack, they've taken from a song from Alice in Chains called Godsmack. A lot of their music sounds like, in some of the reviews, sounds like a cross between Alice in Chains and, let's see, I had it up. I may have lost it. They've got kind of that sound. They were very heavy Boston, in the Boston, Massachusetts area, not the band Boston, but they've been around for a while. They also played a lot of college, they were more of a university band as well, but once they got recording and got the song Keep Away and Whatever, both which helped the band to sell many, many copies of their album. Certified 4 times platinum. Loudwire magazine named Godsmack as one of the top 10 hard rock albums of 1998. So these guys been around, good stuff. They went on to perform many, many years. In fact, they're still in existence right now. They've got a live album out, an acoustic album out, an EP album out, and some others, but very interesting. Their influence, here it is, their influence is Sully Erna, the lead singer, cited that Lane Staley was his primary influence. Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, so it's got very much that sound of it. Godsmack has been described as new metal, heavy metal, post-grunge, hard rock, alternative metal, And the band's primary influences include Aerosmith, Alice in Chains, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Metallica, Pantera, and Rush. So that's what I've got here for the show, for the album of the week here.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Good stuff. 1998, it came in after the grunge was hitting in the early 90s, in the mid-90s. It came in later and has actually done well. Sally Earn is a smaller guy. I think he's like 5'6" for a front man, but smaller guy. Really good front man. But these guys, I've liked them for a while now. I've got a bunch of their albums, but this was their debut that really, every song, every track is really good on this album. But that's all I've got for that.
All right. As some things come up, like I said, things are always changing with the college sports coming up, so kind of follow the Facebook page, see updates on that stuff, conference by conference, what they're doing with their schedule.
Go Twins, go Mets, huh?
Hey, like I said, last night the bullpen blew it, but still repping the colors today. That's what you do.
Awesome.
I know I'm Ricky fans for you.
Exactly. All right, join us next week for our next show. Also, please leave your comments below and your questions, and also if there's any requests that the folks would like us to chat about. That's our show for this week.
You got a request for Humble of the Week.
Yes.
And like that, so let us know.
Thanks for listening once again. This is episode 33.